Hey everybody, Igor from the Better Life Academy here. And today I want to share with you another piece of wisdom which I either acquired from one of my mentors or read in the books or just came up with myself, going through the cycles of my life. And I've tried it all and I've experimented with that and I think that works. And I am actually sharing those hints and tips and my conclusions out of all those experiments with you online here in my channel. And by the way, if you like the channel, if you like the things what I'm saying, that those things helped you at least a little bit, I would be more than appreciative if you would share the channel, if you would repost my post, if you will follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, follow me on the Facebook, and get in touch with me if any of the questions, because I answer questions as well and I create the Q&A sessions, which you have probably already seen in my profiles. Guys, today I want to talk about something special and very interesting in my opinion. And I have already touched up on that topic a little bit in my previous videos. And I would describe what the habits are. Remember, we talked about the habits and I said that the habits, and rituals, by the way, it's something which actually differentiates the people and their results. And in case if you want to achieve something differently, you have to do things differently. And usually to do things differently, you have to change your rituals and habits. And by the way, statistically, you are doing all the things throughout every single day for 40 or 45% based on your habits. Whatever habit you have on subconscious level, 40 or 45% of your day you spend by executing your habits. So just imagine that if one of the habits or some of the habits are not actually beneficial to you, your mind is still lets you to execute it throughout the day. Therefore, you might just lose time by doing it, or the reward or the result would not be that result which you are striving for. That's why I think it's very important, first of all, to control your habits. Second of all, to understand what your habits actually are. And third of all, to actually change those habits, improve those habits. And I want to cover today this third part of how do you improve your habits? How do you actually change that? Because this is usually, in majority cases, the most difficult part. Well, before we actually get to the point where we try to change the habit, we have to understand what the habit actually is. And majority of us, by the way, right away will say, well, the habit is something I repeatedly do every single day, most of the days. And you would be right, but only partially, because this is only one part of three different parts what the habits actually consist of. And this is the crucial thing to understand in order for you to be able to change and improve any habits whatsoever. So, what is the habit? The habit actually consists, as I said, from three parts. The first part is the trigger. What actually triggers you to do something which you'd always do? And that is important. The second part is your habit is on its own, meaning that action which you do, that activity which you perform after it has been triggered by the trigger. And the third is the reward. What is the reward you get after executing that habit? Those three things, they can change your life forever. Understanding those things, they can change your life forever. Why? Because knowing them, you can actually change your habits. And by changing your habits, you will change the results which you get in the end. And based on the results, you can change the quality of your life. And here in Better Life Academy, we are all about that. That's why I'm talking about the habits with you today. So three parts, you see? And we usually think about only one part, which is execution. How do I change what I actually do? But this is only the middle part. There is the first part, which is a trigger, and the last part, which is a reward. And, by the way, you can only change your habit or only improve that habit and shift that habit if you change the first and the third part. If you change the trigger or you change the reward, that will let your mind control and actually help you to execute something differently. Because now the mind will be triggered by something else, will perform different activity and will get different, maybe better reward. If you will supply your mind with the better trigger, with the better reward, the habit itself, the activity will change forever. That's how easy it is. Now let's take a look at some of the example really quick so you understand what I'm actually talking about. Let's say you are waking up in the morning as soon as you hear your alarm going off. And what you do is you just press on the button, snooze, and you sleep. What are those three parts in this kind of activity here? Well, the first one is the trigger, and the trigger is your alarm clock, right? It's went off. So the trigger is there. Now the activity, while you are waking up and snoozing the whole thing. This is the activity. And what is the reward? Well, the reward is you can, roll over and sleep and feel this warmth of your cover and, have this pleasure basically, right? Because you want to sleep more. So those are three parts. How would you change this habit? Well, easy. You can change the trigger. Well, actually, you can move the trigger in this case. What you can do is just take your alarm and put somewhere in a different room, in a living room, let's say, not in your bedroom, but the way you can still hear it. So what you've done is you've changed, well, maybe not the trigger itself, but location of the trigger, which is still truth. You got to make some changes around the trigger or some changes around the reward. And now what you do is you go and you actually press the snooze button or press the off button somewhere in the living room, but you're already up. This is the better probability of you not coming back and actually roll back into your bed. Better, even better, come up with a reward. As soon as you wake up and go turn off the alarm, you might get, the cup of coffee. Or you might get your donut, whatever you eat in the morning, right? Or you might get something else which will feel rewarding to you. Or maybe you just go and kiss your kids while they're still asleep. Make this kind of ritual real reward, because you are being rewarded for getting up earlier than everyone else. And therefore you can get up earlier and you go and kiss everyone while everyone is sleeping. I'm just coming up with out of the blue, guys. It was not prepared, but I hope you understand how the triggers and rewards are working. So if you change something around the trigger, as your alarm, putting it in a different room, and around the reward, you create this ritual that as soon as you hit the button off on your alarm and then you go kiss your kids, it becomes something pleasant, something rewardful for your brain, and your brain now and your mind are craving for it. So therefore your brain will help you to get up, help you to turn that thing off, and then go and get your kiss on the cheek of your kids or your wife or your partner, whomever you have and living with, right? And this is just, one of the examples. Let's take another example, procrastination. What happens when you procrastinate? What happens when you cannot start something and you're doing all the other things? Let's see. So let's say you are about to take up on the new project, right? And you feel anxious, you feel stressful because you don't understand where to start with, what to start with. The project looks so huge for you. So what you do, you actually start browsing the Facebook, browsing the LinkedIn, go to the social media profiles and do all other stuff, but not actually starting your project. Now, that's your habit, by the way. Why is that habit? Because it has the trigger. And the trigger, what is? The trigger is the new project in this case, something new becoming, which comes towards you. What is the activity? Well, the activity, as soon as it comes towards you, you try to distract yourself. You go to the instant pleasure, because scrolling on the social media gives you instant pleasure, instant reward. You skip in the part of the activity of going for the hard part of the project. You get in from the trigger to the reward right away. And that's what our mind does with us. But this reward, very short term, first of all, and it gets our focus out of the things which we're actually supposed to do. And therefore you end up scrolling your Facebook and wasting your time because you think this is a reward, you skip the activity, right? How would you change it? Well, first is the trigger. A trigger is the project itself. It's like so big. How would you change it? Well, you would probably start how might you change it? Just my example. You might look at the project, not as the project as the whole per se, but as the little parts which by putting together you get the project. And as soon as someone gives you the project, you just know that someone gave you the pieces of the puzzle. And now you have to look at one piece at a time, not all of them at the same time. And just look at this one piece at a time, take care of it, then take another piece, take care of it, and as a whole, you're going to cover the whole project. So this is how you change the trigger in this particular example. And for you now, since now and on, anyone who gives you the project, or you are committing to the project, you're actually not thinking as a project as something big and overwhelming, but you know those are little pieces, and I can actually eat that project, quote unquote, piece by piece. Take this bull by the horns and actually eat it piece by piece, right? That's how you changing the trigger. And then you're going to perform that activity, hopefully that activity which you're actually going to be working on your project. And in the end, reward yourself. If you have not done it before, reward yourself. Come up with a reward which you will be craving for even more than the rewards you get when you scroll down the Facebook feed or something like it, or other social media profiles, right? And you're gonna get this reward. I don't know, maybe you celebrate with your wife when you finish up the project. Maybe you celebrate the number of the bonus which you have in your bank account. Maybe you take the screenshot and you put it on your wall, and then you put a lot of the screenshots like that. Hopefully you have a lot of achievements like that on your wall, and then you look at the wall, and this is so rewarding for you that now that reward is a lot more powerful than reward of just scrolling through the Facebook, because the result of it is nothing. It's still the empty feeling inside of you. And that's how you change the trigger, and that's how you change the reward, and as a result your activity will become completely different, and those three things will become your new habit, and your new habit will change your decisions. You change your results, and your results will change your life. That's all I have to say to you today, guys. It's already went a little bit for too long, but I hope you got it. I hope you understand it now, because that changed and improved my life drastically as soon as I understood these three parts of what the actual habits consist of. And I will conclude, it consists of the trigger, it consists of the activity itself, habit itself, and the reward. And to change the habit, you don't need to try to change the habit and activity itself. You actually change the trigger and you change the reward, and the activity itself will be changed and adjusted the way you want it. Okay? It's enough out of me. Thank you for listening today, guys. Igor from the Better Life Academy, right there.